Okay.
Okay. I will now have remarks of the public on the agenda items, only 2 minutes. If we have any line.
Don't
Okay, hearing none.
yeah, I don't see any I don't know who this iPad is, but yeah, I don't see
That's my,
anything. Oh, that's you,
That's
Willa.
the
Okay.
yeah,
I
I
don't
tried
see,
my iPad today
okay.
rather than my laptop.
We don't have
great.
any residents on the line.
Okay, Dr. Guy, that's great. We're gonna go on to legislation. Dr. Guy, if you would.
Okay, we have resolution number 11-20, a resolution authorizing the mayor to contract with Stephen Havancic and Associates to provide engineering services for the city's fiscal year 2020 street improvement project for surveying, engineering design, preparation of construction specifications and construction administration, as builds, change orders, and projects final closeout and construction inspection for an amount not to exceed $51,500, requested by the Community Development Department and sponsored by Timothy R. Austin, Counselor at Large.
Okay, again, I do sponsor this legislation. It's a recurring legislation where every year we get dollars to repair our roads, repair and or resurface our roads. And this is another opportunity to do so for the upcoming year. There were some streets listed in the legislation. What I asked Dr. Guy to do today is actually send out the last year or the 2018 priorities and have each counselor go through their wards and reestablish or restate those priorities, make sure they're reflective of what we want to do moving forward. Again, there was some recommendation in the legislation for 5 streets, if I'm not mistaken. So those streets, I would like to review those streets and make sure that they are reflective of what we actually want to do as a council, and make sure that we revisit our priorities. So more to follow. Councilor Martin, you have anything?
Yeah, I have a road that I'd like to add to the list. Are you listening, Ernest Smith?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you listening, Dr. Khadija Guy?
Yes, I can see you very well.
Okay, the road is right up the street on Beersford. When you go up that hill and you make a left, you go into Heritage Middle School, you make a right, you're in the 3 senior buildings. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
I don't know what the name of that road is, but it's horrible. And it's been that way for a long, long time. You know what I'm talking about, Ernest?
Yes, the road going up between Heritage
Yeah.
and the ABC building.
Right. I want to add that to the list. Okay. If you can, also put it in the front.
We have to make
Right.
sure
So,
schools don't own that street.
Who?
right. So,
You have to double check and make sure the school don't own that street.
Oh no, it is actually connected to the park. I don't think so. We can check it out, but that is every time I go up that road, and that's been for years, and I won't spend a lot of time on it. That road needs to be fixed. That's when people go up to the park, and I mean it's horrible. You know what I'm talking about, right, Ernest?
Yeah,
I know.
It's falling apart.
You too,
Right.
Austin. You familiar with what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Just keep in mind that there have been some recommendations made, and we'll definitely have to revisit that and write that as a priority. So, Dr. Guy, if you would capture that note for us. What I would like to do is make it your review official, meaning that we want to review the list from 2018 and use that as our basis for update, and we will establish the priorities moving forward. But this legislation, just as a reminder, is just to make sure that we have the engineer support on the ground to cover the city throughout the whole process. That's what this person's role would be.
Okay.
So, Councilor Smith. Yes,
Mr.
go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chair, I would also like to co-sponsor this legislation, please.
Dr. Guy, you catch that?
Yeah, and we also want to note that Counselor Stevenson just joined.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Good evening.
Great.
How are you?
Great.
Hello. There was another thing I wanted to ask. And it was on my mind, but when Stevenson came on, I forgot what I was going to ask. Oh, this engineering firm, is this a new one? Ivansic?
Yeah, this one,
Have we
we
had
used
them
Advantic
before?
before. Yes, we have.
Huh?
It's
We have.
years.
Is it?
No,
Director, did you say something?
it's for the last, at least
Go-
10 years.
The same company for the last 10
The
years.
same company?
Yeah.
Well, they have to bid every year. This year, there were 2 bids, and the one that won was Stephen Hervancic.
Well, who did we have last year, Willie Hemmings?
Well, that was 2018, Stephen Hervancic.
The same company?
Yeah, and in 2015, they have to rebid, and they were the lowest bid.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. You can move on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Madam Vice President, do you have any notes on this legislation? Councilor Smith has also sponsored the legislation.
Yeah, my concern with the legislation is how many engineers do we have? How many do we need? In my experience, the city only has 1 engineer. And right now, when we go, if we move this out of committee, we will be up to $96,000 in engineering services for this year. And if we spending that kind of money on contracts, why can't we just hire an engineer and be done? Because the base pay for an engineer is about $60,000, and they go up to $140,000. So I mean, and here we are at 92. I don't understand this. I've never seen a city have more than 1 engineer.
Well, Council Vice President, that is a very good point. That's definitely something we can definitely look into. This 51,000 actually is going to cover 2 years worth of road repair. We did the plan in 2018. This gentleman went through and closed out this company, I should say.
I got 10 minutes dedicated to it. It don't matter. When they see it, they know it's
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can somebody mute their mic?
Yeah, I need to ask about, I heard what Corinne Stevenson said about the engineering firm. My question is, what's the difference between this and OHM? What's the
I
difference?
actually called the mayor's office to get more information, to have somebody can actually provide the specifics with the contract that we have with OHM. OHM, as I understand it, they do the general day-to-day information, and they do some contract assessment for the city right now. As far as, can somebody mute their mic?
Yeah, I see the mayor and Michael Smedley. So what's the difference between Ivansic and OHMI, that engineering firm?
So the difference is the difference is this. OHM is our engineering consultant firm that we work with and we have a contract with. This work is separate from our agreement. So they have to bid on any work outside of their contract that they want with the city. Havancic and OHM are competitors in this bid to do the engineering for CDBG resurfacing, because CDBG resurfacing and that engineering is not captured in our agreement that we have with them for them to be our consulting firm. They can't do it under our contract because our contract doesn't cover it, which means if they want to do it, they have to bid for it in a public bid. Now, that bid had occurred. There is some confusion about OHM wants to address their proposal after they saw the award, and they don't necessarily need to address it with us, they need to address it with council. But for the sake of this discussion, they have to bid, they have to participate in a public bid process for any engineering work that is not captured in their agreement. Community Development Block Grant Fund engineering work
You hear me?
Surfacing is not in the contract. That's why they bid it, and that's the difference.
So
Only bids on engineering work related to resurfacing. We don't have a standing agreement with them for any other engineering work at all. That's the difference.
So are you saying that OHM does not want to bid on this resurfacing? Is that what you're saying, Smetley?
They have bidded on it, and it was reviewed by the committee of folks who look at these bids, and they are recommending to council that you accept Havancic over OHM.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know, that's kind of difficult to do when we haven't seen either of the bids. All we have is the agenda. That's all I got was an agenda, and the rest of the research I had to go pull and find on my own. So we don't have any bids. So I don't know how they could address anything with us because we haven't seen any bid.
So that's a very good point, Council Vice President. What they do is make a recommendation. They should have provided the information. I don't know what information they provided at all. I don't know if they shared both. I don't know what they provided.
Melvin,
But
are
they
you on the
generally make
call?
a recommendation.
Yeah,
They make
I'm
a
on the call.
recommendation, and based on their professional assessment, they chose Havancic. If you need the specs on the bid and you need to see both their proposals, that's well within your right, and that is a reasonable request.
And I requested it, but I haven't received it.
Melvin, did you send it to us?
There are no specs. What we do is we send out a RFP that goes in the plain dealer. There are no specific specs. We
And
said
I
that we had an approximate amount of square yards to pave, and gave them an estimated streets that we were thinking about. And that's how they did their bid. There is no specs.
But what
And
they
the bid
do
opening
have,
meeting-
But didn't they submit something?
Hold on 1 second. One person at a time, please. Go ahead, Madam Vice President. Finish your question.
Didn't they submit a bid proposal
Yeah.
that included how much money they were going to need, what the square footage they were fixing is, who the people are involved? Didn't they submit something to you all?
But everything that in the
yes,
I'm sorry. In
Yes.
what I sent that was in the plain dealer, it tells you them the amount of square yards that we're looking to do. And they come back to us and just give us a price.
right.
That
But-
price and all of that was included in what I provided in the legislation.
I don't have that. I don't have anything like that.
So,
I got it.
Madam Vice President,
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Havancic responded with a bid package with their bid, and OHM responded with their bid. If you want copies of both bids, we're more than happy to provide both bids to you so that you can see how they responded to what was put in the paper.
That's what I asked for. That's all I need.
You shall have that by tomorrow.
Thank you.
Mel, if you could provide council with 5 copies of each, I think that will allow for all the councilors to be able to review what it is we're asking them to support.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor
Brother
That
President,
sounds
you
like,
have
Mr.
anything?
Austin, that sounds like a win. Let's move on.
Okay, Council President, you have any note, any thoughts?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Councilor,
I mean,
can you,
I'll just wait for the OHM bid and the advanced bid. I have no comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor?
Council, Dr. Guy, let's go ahead.
Yeah, so the only thing that was sent is the bid justification memo. Everybody got that from Willa. And the legislative request form. And then there's the engineer bid result sheet.
Committee chair, if I may,
Yes, Chief, you can go ahead.
Uh, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
The,
But
the
I
only
do
thing
want to
else
say
that's
that
going to
I
be
did.
included is just history on the
Oh.
company.
Okay.
That's the main thing you guys want to read.
Committee chair, I remember now.
Okay.
If it pleases the council, and if it's okay with you, committee chair, we can have it ready, and I don't want to have another committee meeting this month. Can we submit it to the next upcoming, put it on the agenda at the next upcoming committee meeting? If it's not contracts and property.
What's the suspense on this resolution? What's the suspense date when we would like to get started? We well in advance. What's the execution date?
We actually
How much time we got?
need this thing
Go ahead.
done.
Hmm?
Okay. All right. So just Mayor, I'm glad you're on the line. I did have a question earlier myself. If the committee will allow me. The concern was the list of, I think it was like 5 streets that I saw in the information I looked over earlier today. Those 5 streets may not reflect the absolute priority from the community groups nor from the council. So I heard the chief say these are just some streets that we proposed. So there may be some adjustments to that, at least if at all possible. So hopefully we're not tied to those streets that were listed in the information I looked at today. So more to follow, no response required at this point, but I think we got the information we need so we can refocus the team. That this legislation will provide us the opportunity to have the appropriate supervision on site and make sure the specs are met from start to finish with the amount of street resurfaces that we need. That's the focus of this legislation. So as long as we're on track with that, and we can make the adjustments internal to our city if everybody understands what I'm getting at. So if Mayor, if you consider our concerns for the future, this seems like something that's reasonable or doable. So any other concerns, any other comments about this legislation?
My only thing is that we come together collectively, maybe at the next meeting, to prioritize the 5 streets that we think need to be repaired. How you feel about that?
Councilor Martin, I support that 100%, and that's why we're having the additional discussion about the priorities or the needs of the people.
Okay.
So more to follow on that part, but as far as just getting the engineer support on the ground, I think this resolution should be moved out of committee and moved on to the agenda review so we can actually do the things we need to do without, hindering the people.
Well, we don't want to hinder nobody, so I'm all right with it. And then we get the documentation that Smedley said we'll get, we can read it, and then we all be
Right.
educated. Okay.
Great.
All right.
I support. My suggestion is to move it from committee.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Committee chairman.
Take care. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
This is
Enjoy. Be
Director
blessed.
Leach. Can I just ask one question? I can drop off
Yes,
them at the council office, or I can scan them and you can get them electronically. What is
Can you
the
send
preferred
them
method?
electronically?
Yeah.
Electronically, that'd be great.
Drop mine off at the office. Where are you now, Milround Leach?
I'm at home right now.
Well, drop it off tomorrow. You got to come here. So drop mine off. The other ones you can do electronically, but I want you to drop mine off. I prefer to
I
read it.
I just have to go in. I have to just make the copies and scan them.
Thank you.
Director Leach, just give me a call and then I can pick up the hard copies for counselor.
Okay.
Get those in the office.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We now have the opportunity next we're going to move on in the agenda. The next says miscellaneous contracts and property topics. So there are some things. Go ahead.
Counselor, before you move on, I need consensus from your committee members to move it out of committee.
Okay. Right. I would like for the committee, President Smith and Vice President Stevens, and I want to see if we can go ahead and get this thing moved out of committee and onto the next agenda review. Your thoughts?
We
It's
can
okay
move
with
it
me,
out of,
Mr. Chair.
we can move it out of committee provided we get the requested information.
I support. What are your thoughts, Brother President?
Same here, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll move resolution number 11-20 out of committee. Thank you, Dr. Guy. Okay. Moving on with the agenda, miscellaneous contracts and property topics. There are a few contracts and property topics that are worthy of discussion. The lack of contract reporting, and that's something that's high on my to-do list. So we kind of get, as a council, more information about the contracts that are being let across the city. No specific contract, but a lot of contracts are being let that we don't know about. And we want to see how we can kind of wrap our arms around some of those things so we don't continuously get blindsided, respectfully, by some of the things that are just not making it across the table the way they should. So I would like to put some procedures in place. I talked to the deputy finance director about, getting a list of those contracts that have been let and or approved. So he gave me some procedural information that was a good start. However, I'm still waiting on that information so we can all, as a council, take a look at the things that are going out and or representing our city by way of contract that, we just need to know about. Not necessarily are approved, but just know about right now. So that's one thing that is of concern to me. I'm gonna go down a list and give everybody an opportunity to comment on that and make sure that we're on the same page. Councilor Martin, what do you have on your thoughts about contracts that we're not getting the opportunity to take a look at that we should?
Well, contracts are crucial to the city, and the Contracts and Property Committee is the most active committee of all the committees that we have, the 5. So we definitely need to see the contracts, and I think it's our responsibility to read the contracts so that we are educated about what they're doing. So I'm in favor of that, Mr. Austin. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Madam Vice President?
Yes, we definitely need to view all the contracts, and those contracts that have not hit the table need to hit the table. I mean, we can't just arbitrarily have stuff floating around that has no beginning and it has no end.
Okay. Brother President? Thank you, Madam Vice President. Brother President, you have any comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, it's our full duty and obligation to do our full due diligence, and I want to thank you all very much. We absolutely need to be aware of any contract that not only has been approved, but like you said, we need to be aware as soon as they hit the table. So yes, I agree. I have no problem with that. I don't think anyone will have a problem with that.
Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do is continue to work with the finance director, because obviously those folks with contracts can't get paid unless finance approves that. So we'll make sure we do our due diligence to be a part of that solution. Mayor's office, you have any notes?
Oh, I'm just carrying the computer.
We see you.
How are you?
All right.
Okay, great. So if nobody else have it, Madam Law Director, you have any comment about that?
No,
Okay. Well, we're gonna move on to remarks.
Yeah, and then
Council and the mayor.
The mayor doesn't have any remarks at this time.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, well, although we missed it on the agenda, we didn't have any public here, so we don't have to. I did see one person.
I'm gonna shut it off.
I do have one person that signed in without I don't know who it is on the last person. Is there any public here on this call right now? Any of our residents on this call right now?
Who is Andrew Harris?
Hey, that's our videographer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, hearing no public, we're gonna move on to response of council to the remarks of the public, although we didn't really have one. Any final thoughts from anyone on council? Councilor Martin?
Just keep up, we need to, I agree with Corrine and that we have to read these contracts and stay on top of them. And let's make sure we prioritize the streets. And then we'll keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council Vice President?
No, I think I'm good.
Thank you, ma'am. Council President?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really want to thank you for a great and informative meeting. Madam Vice President, thank you. Really want to thank our elder member, senior member, Councilman Martin. Thank you for joining us, and our mayor's office. Thank you all, Madam Law Director, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chief of Staff, Madam
Well-
Secretary. Really appreciate you all. Andrew, our videographer, appreciate you, because we need to get this information out to the people. That's it for now. I look forward to the next meeting. I look forward to reading the information tomorrow. I also would please like my copies on a hard copy, but I know our great clerk already knows that. I really want to thank her. Thank you, Dr. Guy. And thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Brother President. To everybody that's on the call, I do appreciate you taking the time out to, make sure your health interests, rights, and needs, as the council president will say, have been met or will be met, and just be clear that this council cares, and we are going to ensure that we do our due diligence to focus on the things that we are responsible for accomplishing on your behalf. So we appreciate you. To everybody on the line, Madam Law Director, our phenomenal clerk, our videographer, thank you for caring enough to stay with us. And to the rest of the body of council, I do respect and appreciate you all, and we will, stay focused and accomplish the renaissance of this great city. And to the mayor's office, again, we appreciate you. Take care. I would like to adjourn the Contracts and Property meeting at 6:08 p.m. All in favor?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay.
Thank you.
Aye. That's it. The
Okay,
Contracts
so-
and Property meeting has been adjourned.
So the next